Hey, what is up, mortals? It is Rosalio Turbiartes here with a new video for you. In this video, we'll dive onto the information on Asmodeus Alice from the Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun anime. I just wanted to greet you guys by saying, just sit back and relax, you're in for a treat. So let's get started. The young boy named Asmodeus Alice has been known to be a talented demon from childhood. With the backing of prestige of a normal bloodline, he has been able to hone his initially advanced skills in magic. However, there had always been a gap between himself and others around him. His great talents have warded off potential allies and any who could grow close to him, thus isolating himself somewhat. Asmodeus managed to secure a position as the freshman representative when he began his time at the distinguished Babel's Demon School. He is also revealed to have been the top student of the first year class with the highest entrance marks during the entrance ceremony. Preparing to make the speech he had prepared and take the rightful place in the spotlight on the school stage, his plans were unexpectedly derailed. Known as a fantasy comedy shown in anime, Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun focuses on themes surrounding school, the supernatural, mythology, and the setting behind the popular isekai genre. The anime finished airing in the second season in March 2020, after launching the start of the series in October 2019. Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun started as a manga series written by Osamu Nishi, and was later picked up by the Japanese animation studio Bandai Namco Pictures. The first two seasons of the anime were directed by Makoto Morikawa. In the Japanese dub of the show, the voice actor behind the character Asmodeus Alice is Rohei Kimura. He has also been the voice actor behind Tartaglia in Genshin Impact, and Bokuto Kotaro in Haikyuu. The voice actor for Asmodeus Alice within the English dub had previously been now the late Billy Kametz. Before his unfortunate passing, he had been the English voices for Naofumi Iwatani from The Rising Shield Hero, and Josuke Higashikita from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, Diamond is Unbreakable. With credit given where they're due, let us now get into this deep dive. We will be looking into one of the main deuteragonists of the series who was introduced earlier, Asmodeus Alice. His specific age isn't known when he was introduced into the series, although we have found that his birthday is on June 6th. He has pale skin with magenta eyes and light pink hair that has two unique hair spikes on the top, giving Asmodeus his almost rabbit-like appearance. These prominent looks of hair may also be a reference to the head accessory known as the Alice hairband, specifically one with a ribbon. He has pointed ears and has been noted to have long eyelashes, giving him somewhat of a feminine appearance. Asmodeus doesn't wear the Babel's Demon School uniform, perhaps due to his position as the first-ranked student amongst the freshmen and being the representative, or because of their noble bloodline. Instead, Asmodeus wears an elegant white suit set with golden highlights and a black dress shirt underneath. His almost knee-high boots are also shared with the gold trims found throughout his outfit. Alongside his white coat, his appearance is something widely respected and admired. Returning to the moment where Asmodeus was preparing to enter into his school life within the Babel's Demon School, as a highly praised freshman and representative and the first place student from the entrance exam, we meet the protagonist of the series, Iruma-kun. Iruma-kun is brought up onto the stage as an honor student by Lord Sullivan, the chair demon of the school, and soon proclaimed grandfather of the young boy who had suddenly stolen Asmodeus' spotlight and speech. He was forced to watch from the sidelines as Iruma-kun made a speech. The speech was reckless, perhaps a rash display of overconfidence or a mockery towards the school, as he openly recited a forbidden spell. However, whilst it was done successfully, and the dangers behind the side effects of chanting the spell incorrectly were avoided, Asmodeus now had a score to settle. Introducing himself to the new honor student Iruma-kun, he brings him into the school courtyard for a duel, challenging him to a battle for stealing away his chance to make his speech from him. Asmodeus announced to Iruma-kun that he is taking the spotlight away from him will end in the young demon's death. Of course, as the audience knows, Iruma-kun is not a demon, and hadn't taken the speech away from Asmodeus on purpose. In fact, our protagonist was a human trying to pretend to be a demon so as not to be eaten, having been sold to the principal, Lord Sullivan. Iruma-kun has been forced onto the stage despite not wanting to attract attention from others as part of his new adopted grandfather's obsession with doting his new grandson and showing him off. Of course, the confused human had no ill intentions, but this was unknown to Asmodeus. This confrontation was where we first showed the magic Asmodeus had gained his fame from. His mastery over fire spells. His talents with fire magic is assumed to be his bloodline magic, that being magic that his family passed down as an innate skill. Asmodeus proceeds to force a duel between the two of them to see if Iruma-kun was, in fact, worthy of taking the spotlight away from him. But, of course, he also likely wanted to know if he'd just been put up there based on his connections to the school's principal alone. Having attended a school boasting talent and strength over status, if the chair demon's son was giving a special treatment because of his position and family connections, this will go over against the Babel's Demon School stance for potentially soar its reputation as a prestigious school. Asmodeus unleashes continuous and flashy fire spells at Iruma-kun, kicking up the dust and smoke, even causing explosion-sized pillars of flames. These are confirmed to be fireballs by the onlooking students who had all gathered to watch the battle go down. However, despite how impressed and excited the students' audience is to see how powerful Asmodeus is, they are more surprised to see that a single one hasn't hit Iruma-kun. Iruma-kun then managed to avoid getting hit for 20 minutes. Despite Iruma-kun's attempts to apologize and to stop the fight, not wanting to have a duel in the first place, the crowd's favor who had turned towards the blue-haired boy, and they had begun to murmur amongst themselves, wondering if Iruma-kun was trying to say Asmodeus wasn't worth his time. Asmodeus is further insulted when Iruma-kun unintentionally has his self-deprecating comment about himself being as worthless as a bug. A statement that Iruma-kun sadly likely believed in at the time was used by the students to make it sound like Asmodeus was worth less than a bug. Enraged and spurred onto the fight further, Asmodeus changes his tactics from long range to melee and wields a sword made of fire that he conjured as he charged at Iruma-kun. However, in his blind rage, his attack endangers another student. To stop the other students from getting hurt, Iruma-kun pulled Asmodeus away before they both fell over. Iruma-kun's spell, which he unintentionally cast during his speech, activated. Asmodeus found himself flying backwards into an absolutely perfect German suplex. This was how Asmodeus was defeated, being given a concussion by the new honor student, Iruma-kun. However, this doesn't seem to lessen the praise and respect Asmodeus gets from the other students, with some of them proclaiming that he looked cool even when defeated. Some may have expected Asmodeus to travel down the path of a sore villain or a rival fueled by jealousy or a newfound sense of inadequacy, but Asmodeus would soon surprise those people. This is where we find out the essential part of his character. In his adhesions and respect towards the tradition of his new admiration of Iruma-kun after being defeated by him in battle, he sought no apology from him. On the contrary, even though Iruma-kun was more than willing to give one, he also began to open his heart to Iruma-kun after being shown his kindness. Iruma-kun had humbled Asmodeus by the gesture of him carrying the pink-haired demon into the infirmary after he'd passed out during their duel. Feeling deeply moved by this, likely that no other demon would show thanks to their society's culture, swears to follow the demon's law. The demon law Asmodeus refers to is where a demon must swear their servitude to the victor in battle. Asmodeus follows this by pledging to aid Iruma-kun in his ruling over Babel's Demon School, even going so far as to making plans to make the other students also his servants. Asking Iruma-kun who he should defeat first, the first episode and introduction of both Iruma-kun and Asmodeus ended. The first look into what seems to drive Asmodeus and what he does to achieve his goals, as well as his strengths and potential weaknesses. Just quickly interrupting today's video to let you all know that our merch store has received an update. Finally, at last, we have received our 70k merch. If you're interested in picking up one of the high quality merch, the link will be in the top line of the description. I recommend you hurrying, though some items are limited and will only be available for a limited time. These items are also signed by James Cipher. And thank you all for 70k subscribers, oh my gosh. Now let's get back into the video. Returning to our deep dive on Asmodeus, let's look into some of the symbolism surrounding him. First, his demonic roots definitely show within his family name, referencing a mythological figure known through the Prince of Demons. The mythological figure of Asmodeus also represents Lux in Peter Binfield's classification of demons. Although the name's etymology has previously been linked in a different sin, Wrath, looking further back into the histories of Zoroastrianism, we gain some clues towards this. Deriving from the Avestan language, the name Asmodeus merges as a combination of the translated words for wrath and demon, thus known as the Zoroastrianism's demon of wrath. Perhaps the connection of these themes help explain some of the Asmodeus' fiery aggression. On the other hand, Alice appears to be an old French name, Alice, a short name form of Adelais, and the short form of the Germanic name Adelhaides. The name Adelhaides is composed of the elements Adel, meaning noble, and Heid means kind, sort, or type. Combining the words Adel and Heid roughly translate to noble type, rather than fitting for the demon who comes from a noble and prestigious lineage. The name Alice, as mentioned previously, was also born by the heroine of Lewis Carroll's novels. So the young girl Alice found in these books is likely a very early form of isekai in a way, focusing Alice entering a new world. Coming back to Asmodeus' personality, we don't seem to learn much more about what he was like before the time he spent with Iruma-kun throughout the rest of the series. Still, we do get to see how he develops and seems to adapt when influenced by the innocent yet secretive protagonist. Asmodeus is soon affectionately referred as Azukun by Iruma-kun and Azukun Azu by the other deuteragonist Clara, as the three of them become friends. His initially somewhat hot-headed and potentially egotistical nature becomes much better and learns to control his emotions better. When around others, he had often been partially blunt and cold in his intelligence. As mentioned earlier, only despite his unapproachable nature, after spending time with Iruma-kun, Azukun has become much happier and warmed up in a much less hot-headed way. Azukun still retains his competitive nature, if only a bit less recklessly dangerous and more controlled. When interacting with specific demons within the school, such as his fellow similarly self-confident and aggressive classmate Saburo. As Azukun spends more and more time around Iruma-kun, his loyalty deepens and shines through as he begins to learn from Iruma-kun and appears to pick up some of his tendencies towards having a kinder nature. Azukun acts as a guide filled with knowledge, helping inform Iruma-kun about Babel's demon school and the demon world. He also seems to respect Iruma-kun's supposed lack of knowledge about what would likely be seen more as common amongst the others. This might be because he doesn't want to intrude on Iruma-kun's boundaries, or because he assumes that there is a good reason behind it. Having the overly doting chair demon as a grandfather, not knowing Iruma-kun was actually an adopted human, was probably something that helped sell the story of a sheltered grandchild who simply hadn't been able to learn more about the world around him until that point as well. Iruma-kun's generous and kind-hearted nature often outshone his lack of knowledge in Azukun's eyes, and he continued to greatly admire the young boy, dedicating himself to make him happy and feel cared for. Azukun is very protective of Iruma-kun in this way. He can become very defensive, and his original hot-headed and aggressive nature can re-emerge when he thinks of others are harassing, insulting, or otherwise trying to cause trouble for Iruma-kun. Indeed, he could protect him easily with his talents in magic and his trained skills in both range and melee skills. However, in You Fit Right In Now Iruma-kun, the final episode of the anime's first season, we actually learn a big weakness Azukun has, ichthyophobia. This is a fear of fish. Whilst fish haven't exactly had the most significant focus or been regular seen in the series so far, it's pretty interesting. While some demons have more animalistic and beast-like appearances, Alongside magic and the ability to summon and control familiars, Asmodeus may have to face off some form of fear in some way in the future. Perhaps against a fish-like familiar or demon. Speaking about familiars, when Asmodeus gets to attend the lesson where he learns how to summon and make a contract with his own, he gets a chance to bond with a Gorgon snake, a winged serpent-like creature. The Gorgon snake Asmodeus gets to control seems to parallel him in a few ways. The familiar shares mastery over the fiery breaths and fiery tail. It also has light colors, being a macaroon cream color with purple details on its edges. However, impressed all the students with his powerful summon, he is once again one-upped and impressed by Iruma-kun. Iruma-kun, secretly being a human, ended up accidentally summoning another demon instead of a familiar. When he established his contract, transforming their teacher of the familiar summoning class, Nabarius Caligo, into his very own fluffy and annoyed familiar. Nobody seems to question this result too much, focusing more on Azukun's strengths and abilities. Alongside his talents in fire magic and powerful familiar, his physical strength is also notable despite his thin and non-muscular build. In addition, having enough defensive capabilities to block attacks made toward him effectively. Azukun has also seen as capable of withstanding holding the weight of a vending machine with one arm, catching and throwing one without much trouble. He is also exceptionally talented at flight, showing proficiency with his demon wings when flying, being able to fly quickly without a sweat. Something potentially interesting about the note about Azukun's family would be that his mother holds particularly powerful title amongst the demons, likely being part of why the bloodline is seen as noticeable and prestigious. His mother, Asmodeus Amaryllis, is the head of lust of the 13 crowns. Within the demon world, the 13 crowns are a group made of the most influential and powerful demons. Together, they all represent the pillars of the demon world, who uphold order. Therefore, they are important to demon society, especially after the absence of the current demon king, the ruler of the demon world. Azukun's relationship with his mother is a bit of a cat and mouse chase. However, his mother is incredibly affectionate and has a habit of being quite doting towards him, which might be another reason why Azukun might sympathize with Iruma-kun when his grandfather dotes him. His mother shows the same admiration and support towards him as he shows towards Iruma-kun, showing parallels between them that perhaps Azukun wouldn't ever want to admit or acknowledge. He frequently attempts to try to avoid his mother and actively plots against her. However, she has her own ways of planning around his plans and will even resort to potentially dubious or questionable actions in her attempts to close the gap between them. One example in the series is when the butler stalked Azukun's mother, but she escaped. How did she escape? She drugged him. Poor butler David. Speaking of Azukun's butler, David seems to be a father figure, and he might be involved in the small form of potential rivalry with Azukun's mother. However, it is unknown if his father is involved or estranged from his family. Azukun also has twin younger nieces who deeply admire and respect him, and is shown to be excited when around him. And they even started an argument with him over his sudden change in attitude. They seemed to much prefer when he was proud of himself more than he was of Iruma-kun. Thanks to his highly supportive and encouraging family and being able to show off often and prove his strengths and abilities, it is likely that his ego was raised as far up as it was from the start of the series. This makes for a big contest between him and Iruma-kun, who lacks in any self-confidence. Whilst not an initially welcome part of his social life or newfound friend circle, we can't finish our deep dive without talking a little bit about his rival in Iruma-kun's friendship, Vela Clara. Clara, as mentioned earlier, is the other deuteragonist in the show. Azukun, or as Clara likes to call him, Azu, is one of her true friends. Although it isn't her choice to be her friend at the beginning of their friendship, their connection to each other was bridged by Iruma-kun. Before Iruma-kun came along, he avoided her because he saw her as weird. Azukun and Clara both tend to each other as rivals for Iruma-kun's attention, and he often finds himself at his wit's end, and is wound up by Clara's childish and immature behavior. As a result, he ends up having to try and act as the responsible one between the two, which might have further helped to rein his opponents. However, their rivalry seems to cool down slowly, and they become more tolerant to each other. Their relationship improves as the series continues, and they find some kind of common ground with each other. With time and perhaps help from Iruma-kun, they both learn to care about each other more. We hope you all enjoyed this deep dive focusing on Asmodeus Alice from Welcome to Demon School Iruma-kun. Thank you so much for watching. If you're either starting this series, rewatching it, or reading ahead in the manga, you don't have to worry about if you'll get to see more. Season 3 has announced to air on October 2022. We will all be looking forward to seeing more of the adventures of Asakun has with Iruma-kun, Clara, and the others. We will all be supporting the fantastic creators behind the series, and we encourage our lovely viewers to support these creators as well. Thank you all for indulging yourselves in all of this information. Thus far, I really hope you enjoyed it. Now, there are a few things I'd like to go over before the video ends. Firstly, if you're in the mood for some great storytelling, We the Celestials have got you covered. Our We the Celestials, My Hero Academia, and Naruto What If channels retell their story for the namesake anime with a twist. Check it out if you're interested. Secondly, on behalf of We the Celestials, I'd like to thank everyone involved in the production of today's awesome content. Their details can be found in the description below. Lastly, if you're interested in what we do here at We the Celestials, then I'd like to extend you an invitation to join our team. The only caveat being that we only accept members from 16 and up to join our crew. You can sign up for whichever category fulfills your interest by joining the recruitment Discord using the link in the description below. We're always looking for new members to join us. That's it from us from today's video. So thank you for watching and have a great day.